If I tell you, I'll have to kill you. I love books, and I read a lot. This year, I made a personal goal to read one book per week. And in this series, I will share with you some of the books that made quite an impression on me. I hope you enjoy this. This time, I'm going to share with you a much older book, or maybe not much older, but an older book. This was published in 2012, and it is called Mossad, The Greatest Missions of the Israeli Secret Service by Michael Bar-Zohar and Nissim Mishal, published in 2012. So, to those who are not familiar about Mossad, Mossad is essentially the CIA of Israel, and they are one of the most renowned or best secret service, intelligence service out there. And I grabbed a copy of this book because I was just really curious about this subject matter, not just in the Mossad, right? I think just like any other, just like the next person, we're all curious and fascinated by the Secret Service, by the intelligence agencies, and everything that we watch and we've seen in Hollywood, in the TV series. One cannot help but be curious. So when I saw this book, I thought, hey, this is something that we have to read because this is nonfiction, okay? Nonfiction. And I'm glad I got a copy of it. But before I talk about the book, Netflix actually has a TV series called Mossad. I don't know if it's still up there, but we found it actually even before I started reading the book. So Netflix has this Mossad series. So if you're interested in that, if you don't have time for the book, maybe you could try that out. But anyway, I really believe that this book is better than the TV series, even though even though Netflix covers some of the same missions that you see here or you will read here in the book. Why? Because you, of course, in the Netflix, in TV series, you wouldn't get that same sense of suspense. You wouldn't get that same sense of humanity more than anything. This book is intimate. And when I say intimate, it is from a different perspective, from a perspective that you won't normally see or hear from Hollywood, from TV series. I mean, enough of that, right? This is from the inside looking out. So this is from the perspective of somebody in the Mossad. So that in itself is a fresh perspective. That's a different perspective. And that gives you a better understanding of how these espionage and how these real events that essentially became part of our history, of our world history, happens, right? From the inside. I mean, I bet if there is a book called CIA with a perspective from the CIA, it's another different type of understanding, right? So it's the same thing as this. So it covers a lot of missions. One chapter is one mission, so it's fast paced in that sense, and it gives you parang it's almost like a collection of short stories, 'di ba? Kasi nga one chapter is one mission. Some of the most well known cases, if I would call it that, or some of the most well known incidents were covered here, such as the 1972 Olympic massacre of the Israeli athletes. They covered that here. And of course, the life of of the Israeli spy Eli Cohen, which, by the way, also has a Netflix TV series, which is a good one. But again, here in the book, of course, it's not as detailed as in the Netflix series, which is actually very, very fascinating as well. But they have it here also, a few chapters actually, I think. And then other lesser known missions are here as well, and a very interesting perspective, right? And very interesting way of learning how espionage really works or really happens in real life. So I do have a few takeaways after reading this book. I realized that, you kind of say that you kind of know that real life is stranger than fiction. You always hear that, we always say it. But when you read books like these, you really do realize that. Real life is stranger than fiction, and also a lot scarier. And Hollywood would make us believe that espionage, it's such a action-packed, glamorous life. After reading this, you kind of realize that it's actually not. It's espionage is quiet, and it's planned out for months, years, and every little move, every little decision has an impact and could have really serious critical impact to people's lives. So there's really nothing glamorous about it. The agents um, live a very different life, a very quiet, silent lives, and we don't know their names because that's how it should be. Um, Even the Mossad agents that were interviewed in the Netflix TV series, it's funny if you watch that show because they they really share very little. And then I think there was one agent there who actually said that if I tell you, I'll have to kill you. And then he laughed, and I was thinking, yeah, maybe he will, and maybe he might because these are real life, and these are real agents. And I'm laughing now because from a perspective of somebody like us, like like a normal citizen, it's it's almost absurd to think that these things that we see, that we watch in Hollywood and TV series, can actually be real life. But they are, and you will find it here in this book. And it's very interesting, and it's very serious, and it really kind of just broadens your perspective of what you think you know about espionage. And I guess those are really my major takeaways from reading the book. There is no plot to speak of, right? Kasi nga, different missions siya within this book. But if you're into espionage, if you're into CIA, if you're into stuff like ano ba yung mga TV series na ganyan, mga Homeland, that type of series, um, when you find the time, or when you're in the mood for for the real deal, for the real thing, and if you want to strip away all the spectacle and all the fiction and all the glamour, and you just want to see what it is for real, then you might want to pick this up and give it a try. I enjoyed it. Not to say that it's an easy read. It is an easy read, but it's not an easy topic for sure. These are events. They will talk about events that you have heard about in the news, um, or things that probably our parents would have heard about during their time. Kasi some of the cases here are quite ano na rin, quite old na rin, but they remain and will always remain relevant um, events in our history. So do give it a try if you're in the mood for that. If you feel like you're ready for something like this, um, I do enjoy reading nonfiction stuff like this because, if anything else, it helps you broaden your perspective. It helps you push your understanding a little bit further, and and also you get to see things from a different perspective. There will be times where you feel or you think like you have formed an opinion about something, but then when you read something and when you understand it better, you kind of, you kind of adjust, and that's fine. And that's, for me, that's great. That's one of the things that's great about reading and keep on reading about real life. So yeah, I would recommend this. Do give it a try. And yeah, thank you. Hope you like it. Quite an ulit.